one of the great things about this time is that we are rediscovering one another. Most of the time we are so busy, but also we have such a front. We're all of us pretending to be this and that. And at this time, I'm loving the new vulnerability. I've had so many conversations with people who are just able to be human in a way that very often they're not the rest of the time. It's such a gift. When a friend calls you up and they say, how are you doing? If you're able to just take them into the reality of your life, that is such a present that you're giving them. Because so many of us think, I'm unusual, I'm so strange, other people are all having a great life, they're having a great time. This is a time when there's no fear of missing out. During the pandemic, there is no great party somewhere else. It's all of us, fragile, suffering, vulnerable humans, trying to hold it together, sometimes frightening moments, and in a way, the kind of pretenses of the normal world that we've put up and suffer from have kind of gone. A lot of people say to me things like, I'm feeling anxious. Is it going to be okay? And I always say, if you really want to calm somebody down, don't always stress that everything's going to be great, everything's going to be terrific, etc. Look at some of the darkness in the face. The Stoic philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome, they were fantastic because when they were trying to reassure people, rather than saying the bad stuff won't happen, they chose a different view. Look at the bad stuff and see that it can actually be survived. We are all of us much stronger than we think. We always think, imagine if I couldn't go out. Imagine if, this happened and that happened. We're in the middle of a crisis. And broadly speaking, touch wood, most of us are still just about coping. And even if we're not coping's okay. So I think it's making us stronger by revealing to us that we don't have to be perfect. We suffer so much from an idea of perfection. This is not perfect at all. These are not perfect days, and still we're okay. The brave face has always been a problem. Men have had it worse than women in this regard. It's all this idea that in order to be a decent human being, you have to be an unafraid human being. And so most of us feel so weird because we have access to our own thoughts and our own fears and fragilities, but we only can guess what's going on inside other people's minds from what they choose to tell us. And generally, they edit the information heavily. And therefore, a lot of us end up thinking that we're very weird because what's going on in my head doesn't seem to have any echo with what's going on in somebody else's head. Actually, all of us experience many of the same things. We're full of self-doubt, we're full of regret, we're full of shame, but also we have longings for love. We want to be generous towards other people. We're just actually, life is stranger than we're allowed to admit that it is. And I think great works of art, great works of comedy, great songs, they're always able to stretch our idea of what is normal. And that's why we appreciate them. Think of the best movies. They're able to kind of show what it's like to be a parent, to be in love, to go on a journey. And they give us the real picture. So often we live inside these very edited images. And I think let's use this crisis to be a bit more honest about what it's like to be human. Life is always an emergency. You don't need a plague to be reminded, but we're all suffering. We're all afraid. We're all going to die at some point. Keeping those things right at the center of our kind of compass helps us to maybe focus on the essentials. It's so easy to get distracted and to imagine that others' lives are shiny and perfect. They're not. So this is all a gentle reminder from the plague. Look, a lot of the time, in modern society, we are supposed to be totally in charge of our destinies. And the number one question that people will ask you when they meet you for the first time is, what do you do? And you better have an impressive answer to what you do. You are your job and your performance in the marketplace, which makes it so difficult because on top of our financial worries, we've got kind of status worries. We feel that people won't like us unless we're doing terrifically. In a way, again, the silver lining of this time is if things are not going terrifically for you and the economy is really wobbling in lots of parts, it's genuinely not your fault. We are not always responsible for whatever happens to us. Your biography is not who you are. Sometimes we can be terribly snobbish. And what I mean by snobbish is we take a small part of what people are, what's on their business card, how they've been doing this month. And that becomes the whole of who they are. It never is. We're all of us far richer than merely our jobs. And I think this crisis is forcing us, for better or for worse, to see each other in a far larger kind of context. We are much more than the economy tells us we are. And when the economies go mad, we deserve to rediscover one another as human beings.